Are audio levels good?
Yes.
Okay, so we're good. Good. Jesus Christ.
What was that?
That sounded like a 96 Honda Civic.
That wasn't me. I didn't fart. I swear to God. I don't know what that... I swear to God. I don't know what that was, but it was not me.
Did you fart?
No, I heard it from that direction.
Yeah, it came from over here.
I thought that was your ass.
I swear to God, that wasn't me. It did sound just like I was ripping one, but I swear to God, unless I've lost the feeling below my waist, that was not me.
You just crap your pants?
That was so weird. What was
What the hell was that?
Yeah, blame it on nothing, I guess.
Well, it doesn't stink, right?
Not yet.
I swear.
I hope the mics picked that up.
What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa, and with me, as always, it's the great and powerful, it's Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, you guys?
Tonight's brew is from Bowgens and Tori. Very local brew we're doing.
Yeah.
So if you're in the area, you can probably pick this up. But if you're not, sorry.
Yeah.
It's the, I don't know how to say that.
Atsumeru.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
IPA with sake rice and green peppercorns. And Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break.
That's right.
What's on tap for tonight? Well, you can consider this a funeral pyre of a podcast episode.
A eulogy of sorts.
As we will delve into the death of once beloved gaming magazine GameInformer, and the death of once beloved brewery Wakefield Brewing or Brewing Co. Is brewery? Just brewery.
Who can say?
It doesn't matter now. Sorry.
We'll get into it. There's a silver lining.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else we got?
And we are going to end with something quite controversial. And that is X suing Advertisers.
And we're only calling it X right now for the sake of posterity.
Yeah.
Because it will be Twitter
Well,
from
the
this
company,
point forward.
the company is named X.
Yeah.
So I felt like I need to.
Well,
let
when
it be
they
known.
do foo-foo lame stuff like this, they're X.
They're X. Yeah.
Anytime it's cool stuff, which is very rare and far in between, it's Twitter.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that and these brewskis. Without further ado, this is episode 435 of the One Beer In podcast. Ow.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in.
Put her there.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-oh.
That's right.
I poisoned one of these cans.
Oh, no. Oh, no, it's already happening. This is the One Beer In podcast. The podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. I am Marco. That is Adam. So, what are we drinking tonight, broski?
This is the Bowgens and Tori collabo called Atsumeru. It's an IPA with sake rice and green peppercorns. It comes in at a 5.4%. Relatively low ABV for an IPA. Unfortunately, no cold read other than the fact, which is kind of cool, that it was featured on As Seen on Gather, which is the local show, I guess.
I don't know what Gather is.
I don't know either. I'm making guess, but it's cool that they're choosing to promote it as an As Seen On type deal. and they give you a little QR code to craft it. So keep cold, drink fresh, brewed and packaged at Bowgens Beer Company, Longwood, Florida.
Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention.
Oh yeah, of course.
You'll see it on social media thumbnail, whatever.
Yeah.
But their canning label for this is, I mean, it might be one of the hardest labels I've seen in a really long time.
It's really cool, yeah.
So, yeah, I had to mention that.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into some sad stuff.
Okay.
I saw somebody posting a thread of Game Informer, like iconic Game Informer covers.
Oh yeah, they had. Speaking of cool art, I mean,
Yeah.
treasure trove.
And this was before I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm going through this thread, and I'm like, oh man, Game Informer used to be the shit.
Yeah.
I miss Game Informer so much. I'm like going through these, and I'm like, I had that one. I had a subscription for a couple years, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, why did this person post this in the first place? Googled it,
Yeah.
and was hit like a boulder, like a ton of bricks by the news. I mean, really, the unsurprising news that Game
Sure.
Informer magazine is folding.
Yeah.
And I believe you have the statement.
I do. So there were actually two statements. The first I'll read is the official, which is was posted on the Game Informer social media page. But as we've come to discover, was not written by anyone at Game Informer.
Yeah, this situation gets a little weird.
It does get weird. We'll go over it. The final level, farewell from Game Informer. After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end. Game Informer, signed by no one.
Game Informer.
So a lot of people were saying, like, that sounds like ChatGPT. But regardless, according to actual editors and staff from Game Informer who were immediately fired, nobody wrote that.
Yeah.
It's apparently just kind of a letter put together by the powers that be at GameStop, who still own them. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
So, yeah, that's
Glad to see they're all taking it very seriously.
That's what we had to kind of sit with for a few days at least before actual, editors and stuff started coming out and talking about it and saying, like, yeah, we had no idea this was about to happen. And we just kind of came in and they said, hey, your services are no longer needed. And you're gone. I mean, they do at least get severance packages and whatnot, but it is it's yet another hit to the gaming landscape that we grew up in with actual print magazines.
Yeah.
At least in America. From what I hear in the UK, gaming magazines are still a thing.
Are magazines still a thing?
I guess. I don't know. But apparently they still exist across the pond. But
Interesting.
as far as America goes, like, Game Informer was, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the last of the dying breed that there was. So, again, not surprising, but, pretty sad still.
I'm surprised that Game Informer didn't more quickly try to, like, muscle in the market that IGN, Kotaku, and Polygon had. Like, Game Informer should have been... I mean, I know that people, I know they have a website, and I know that people use it, but, like...
Oh, no, excuse me. They used to have a website. That's the other shoe that's dropped in this entire situation.
Right.
the website was expeditiously turned into a landing page that essentially says there's no such thing as Game Informer anymore.
Game Informer. This is
So
not the magazine you were looking for.
yeah, which I mean, just look, I'll level with you guys. I wasn't a Game Informer kid.
You weren't?
I was not.
Oh.
The reason why I have a reverence for Game Informer was from going to GameStop and whatever the Electronics Boutique or something they used to be in. But always seeing them at the
Holy
cash
shit.
registers and seeing like that cover's awesome.
Yeah.
And like kind of like, thumbing through it real quick.
Yeah.
I was more of a GamePro kid.
Yeah.
But even just peripherally, you had to respect it because they were one of those constants.
Yeah.
But because of that long catalog, you'd expect that there was a way, or not a way, but just a respect for the decades that they were covering games, and especially like the reviews, and
interviews,
even previews just for like historical sake.
the looks at games before, like the planning stages of games, like the
behind the scenes things.
Yeah. They would talk to developers and writers and sometimes even the actors.
Right.
It would be like a full 3-page spread.
Right. Many of which aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the game companies themselves are now gone and everyone's dispersed, whether inside or outside of gaming now. But all that to say, the website is completely gone now. There's no way to access the old reviews, and all that information now that was collected over decades is now gone. It's just disappeared.
It's crazy.
So
man.
people have been trying now to archive all of those articles and kind of upload them to a cloud so they are still accessible.
Yeah.
But I know as a writer, if even if I was at Game Informer 10 years ago and I wrote there for 2 years, knowing that my hard work has suddenly disappeared from the planet, it's gone.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's awful. So I understand that owning a website and all that storage has to cost, but at least give people time to offload it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just being too optimistic about the situation.
No, I mean,
and corporations, but
yeah, I think you definitely are, but I know what you mean. Even the short amount of time that I had a job writing, I lost those reviews when the website that I worked for folded.
yeah.
And that was stuff that at the time I was disappointed, but now looking back, I'm furious because I could have used that stuff. I mean, not only just as a thing to look back on, okay, has my writing improved? What was the prose that I was using?
Yeah.
But also I could have put it on my resume as look at all this stuff that I did. You know.
Yeah.
So just from that perspective, it's really sad to see that go. Game Informer, and I mean just journalism like this. Completely, it's really sad. It's just really, really sad watching stuff like that. I was strangely, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you'll know that we're two really weird kids doing weird things.
Yeah.
I had magazine subscriptions like a 54-year-old dude.
Yeah.
I subscribe. I had The Source. I had XXL. I had GQ magazine.
Uh-huh.
And I had Game Informer. And I had Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. And because you could get them for, I can't remember what company it was, but they'd come to your house and they'd be like, "You want a magazine subscription?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Get the fuck off my, out of my yard."
Yeah.
But if you actually looked at that little placard thing, you'd pay $12 for a whole year, and then they'd give you another subscription for free.
It's $1 per magazine.
Yeah, it was fucking nuts. You
Yeah.
could just, I mean, it's a why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You Oh, and Maxim magazine too.
Oh
That's
my
right.
God.
That was the
My
other
man.
one. Yeah. So that all that other stuff was when I was a nerdy virgin.
Yeah.
But when I had Maxim,
Yeah.
I was still a virgin, but less
Yeah.
of a nerd.
Sure.
So for me, it's
Doubt
like
it.
really, fuck you. It's really sad to see a lot of this stuff go because it just really marked like a significant part of my childhood was
Yeah.
reading these like 3-4 page spreads. And I mean, a lot of, people ask me all the time, like, why do you know that? And it's like, probably because I read Game Informer.
Yeah.
Probably because I was sitting around reading magazines like a middle-aged man.
Sure. It's I think it's a generational thing. I think we were the last of those kids reading paper,
Yeah.
waiting for them to come in every month.
Yeah.
And being excited about it when it came in.
Yeah.
Remember opening the little the little latch in your mailbox and like seeing a hefty fold in there?
Oh, my Game Informer's here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Especially great if you were an official PlayStation magazine.
Ooh,
guy
yeah,
and you
dude.
get the disc in there.
Come on. And the thing is, that used to be how you found out, how good a game was. What
What's
games were
coming
coming
out.
next. Yeah, now, it happens to me. I mean, I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me all the time where I'm like, holy fuck, I didn't even know that game was coming out.
Yeah.
Let alone how far along it was in development. Sometimes games come out and they just come and go, and then I pick up on them later and I'm like, damn, I wish I would have known that this game was out. This is an awesome game.
And it's the tempo of that too, because we've talked about how you hear about a project, 4 years in advance, and it's like, I don't need to know about this yet.
Right.
And in a magazine, it's like, no, this is being published because it's coming out this month.
Right.
Or next month.
Right.
So that immediacy of having the hype level grow immediately and being like, okay, I can do something with this.
Yeah.
pretty soon.
And then reading the articles, especially the behind the scenes stuff, gave you something that I think this generation coming up, and I sorry, this is probably this is my old man yells at cloud boomer take, but kids these kids, man, they don't appreciate shit.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, you appreciate your parents, appreciate your station in life, especially if you're in a good one. I just mean even just little things.
Mm-hmm.
Music gets, it's so
Devalued.
disposable and devalued now because of streaming services. You got fucking, what was that girl? Pink Panthers. They were talking to her, and she's like, I don't listen to albums. I don't build my music around an album. I don't think anybody cares about sequencing. That's why all my songs are 1.5 to 2 minutes, because who wants to listen to music past the 3-minute mark? And it's just like, wow.
It's algorithm music.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, listen, okay, fine. I am not going to, if that's what kids are doing today, and that's how kids are viewing music and culture, there's you can't do anything about that.
Sure.
It is what it is. That's how things are going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get angry. I just feel like, wow, you're really missing a huge part of the equation here, and that's why none of this makes sense to you. Because you're drawing all this stuff on a chalkboard, you're drawing all these equations, and then you're missing very vital numbers, and that's why you can't figure out why things go away so quickly, why people don't stick around long enough.
Mm-hmm.
People, I see now, Frank Ocean is more active on his social media, for instance, and I see people going, oh, it's over, man. We don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Dude. D'Angelo put out his
I
second
care.
album in 1999, and then he put out his third album like 12 years later,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was incredible.
Sure.
And that's what music is, and that's so. Game Informer used to have these behind the scenes looks at the development of a game, right?
Yeah.
And you would read it, and the writer would say, "This is why we did this thing." So when you play it, that's why that thing is in the corner like that. That's why you have to turn that knob this way, because we built it that way to work for this. And when you finally get your hands on the game, you go, oh, shit.
Yeah, you connect the dots.
Yeah. Or you're like, that didn't work. He said that it
Yeah.
was going to be like this, but it didn't work. And that is a huge part that is missing.
I agree. And I feel like the thing that I think is most missing from my experience from reading, GamePro and PlayStation Magazine and I mean plenty of others, is the fact that when you're reading a magazine, you have to use your imagination more than you would watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Which has essentially replaced what, game journalism is now.
Yeah.
So, you had to read the editor's comments about how the game made them feel, what it looked like, their flowery exposition about, like how cool this thing was, or like how much this thing didn't work, or like what this thing was kind of like, and build your own sort of vision in your head and have these tiny snapshots of the game to look at and like analyze and look deeply at with a magnifying glass and be like, oh, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to like get my hands on it and actually play it. And I don't think that level of anticipation is ever going to be there again.
No.
Because everything works way faster. As soon as the game is in, pre-alpha stages, you've already seen something from it.
Dude, a lot of people have already got their hands on it.
Sure.
And they've already dismissed it.
And if they haven't, they're angry about it.
Yeah.
They're like, why don't we have more screenshots and videos and more announcements of when this thing's going to finally drop? Like, there's no more patience. There's no more anticipation because it needs to be in my hands right now. And when it does come out, even if it's good, most of the time it's a thing of, oh yeah, that's fun. Next,
yeah,
what else is there? Because there's just so much else on the conveyor belt right behind it, if not on the same level at the same time.
Yeah,
to distract you, and that's just video games.
Yeah,
imagine everything else that's vying for your attention.
And that is the way that a lot of these industries are going. They're all doing the same thing.
TikTok.
I really don't think that. I guess let me rephrase. I do think that we are the last generation that really. I mean, we had our flaws too, so we're not innocent. I'm not saying we are the best generation for culture. I would say that we probably started this downswing. It definitely started with our generation.
It happened in our generation. Yeah.
So we're not innocent. But I will say we came up in a time where that stuff was important, and it wasn't just for people who liked niche stuff.
Yeah.
It was the only way to consume culture. It was the only way to be a part of the discussion. You couldn't just skim something because then you wouldn't know what the fuck you were talking about.
Right.
And nowadays you can do that. And everybody can talk about a headline. Everybody can play a video game for an hour and then have an opinion.
Look at the accumulated score.
Yeah.
Make a judgment based off of that alone.
But you couldn't do that back in the day.
Yeah.
You had to get your hands on it because then people would know that you were full of shit.
Yeah.
But now everybody's full of shit, so it doesn't matter.
Sure.
It's just
or everyone can be full of shit.
Yeah.
They have the ability to be full of shit more easily than it was.
Way more easily
when we were kids.
Back in our day.
I do want to say, what you said about Pink Panthers, that's been happening forever. So I don't want to sit here and act like it's a new phenomenon. It's just a shifting phenomenon. So like, in the 60s, pop stars were making music for the radio. To make it viable for that audience and to get plays. So that's nothing new. It's just evolving, and making a judgment call here, but not for the better.
No,
it's more consumable. It's easier to listen to in a way.
I guess with Pink Panther specifically, she's asked about structuring albums, and maybe she's not the person to ask. So it's not her fault that she becomes a soundbite and the representation of a dying culture.
Yeah.
Because she's a pop star who wants to make pop music and has no she doesn't care
Yeah.
about sequencing.
Sure.
She doesn't care about, track listing or anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's become the dominating perspective as opposed to, you're right, this has been going on since music.
Yeah. Since popular music.
Yeah. But that wasn't, those artists were very clearly pop artists. They were very clearly, making music. I mean, that's how they were marketed.
Sure,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how that people bought their music. And
This
no
is
one
for the
had
teeny boppers.
Right. And no one had any illusions that you were about to discover,
Some deep experience.
But now
unless,
I think-
unless it was Pet Sounds. And then
Right, that's-
people are like, what?
Yeah.
What's
Like,
happening
oh,
here?
God? But now I do believe that Pitchfork kind of spearheads this, but this pop maximalism thing of, pop music
It's
has
like super
something
important.
deeper to say. And then it's like, but okay, now you're making people listen to Sabrina Carpenter and she's great, but does she have
Super
something
deep?
to say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff that would have been talked about in magazines.
Right.
People would have had these discussions in great magazines. Most of the stuff that I know about comic books, that like when I wasn't reading the actual books and graphic novels,
Yeah.
I was getting from Wizard magazine.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just I can't stress enough how important that stuff was and how much I think people are not getting the full story and the full experience without stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And, I will say, I think that it may seem like there's a proliferation of kind of shallow music, let's call it. But I think it's more of an effect of there being so many artists now available at your fingertips at all times.
Yeah.
So I think it's an effect of that. But I will say, I mean, there are plenty of contemporary artists who do care about sequencing, who do care about the craft of making a good album, and don't despair too much
Right.
when it comes to that stuff.
Right.
I know this is a side tangent from Game Informer, but just to give this generation its flowers, there will always be a place for thoughtful musicians and artists. So
Yeah.
you may just have to look for it a little bit more. Maybe harder to find.
Yeah.
Because there's so much out there now. But all that to say, to cap this one off, the final editor-in-chief of Game Informer went ahead and posted his goodbye letter. So if you are interested, go on Twitter, look it up. It's a good read. And
Yeah.
I'm glad he was able to get that out.
Yeah.
Let me see his name. I forget his name. That would be from Matt Miller,
Matt Miller.
editor-in-chief.
Matt Miller.
So he doesn't have his own Twitter, but everyone who is Game Informer adjacent or formerly employed by posted it for him on Twitter. So
How could he not have a Twitter?
Uh,
What does he think this is?
one of the posts I saw from I think a former colleague of his said, Matt doesn't have a Twitter because he's a sane person. So we're posting it for him.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
Yeah. Sure is.
We're going to get to Twitter, but before we get to Twitter, we got to talk about more death in the family. This is left field into a different industry completely,
Yes.
but still representative of what's going on in these industries, man, in 2024 and beyond, what we could be looking at, because this is one of the more prominent closings,
Yeah.
but not the first or the last in this industry.
I mean, even in their area,
Yeah.
as we famously discussed.
Yeah.
Jay Wakefield. Jay Wakefield Brewing no longer has a brick and mortar brewery for you to go visit and have their beers. So they were also in Wynwood. And I don't know what's happening out there. Maybe it's something with the them being outpriced as far as real estate, or it's an issue with the craft beer industry at large, or both.
I think it's both. I think it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on a city that I don't live in. So I don't really know what
our neighbors to the south.
I don't know what they
in Miami.
How they get down out there. I can just tell you that the industry as a whole is taking a huge hit.
Yeah.
And by their statement, it sounds like not only did they get outpriced, but they got outcultured. Right?
Yeah.
It seems like where they are, they couldn't compete with what was going on around them, basically. I mean, people are losing interest in their craft beer, and like breweries don't have this stranglehold that they had a couple years ago on like the night out.
There was a bubble and it burst.
Absolutely.
There was an interest, a huge interest.
Massive.
Before
billion-dollar interest.
Yeah, before COVID, and it became very mainstream, parodied.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think kind of everything changed right after COVID.
Yeah.
Even a little bit before, you could see the writing on the wall a bit. But, I mean, COVID definitely did a number on, all service industry, but especially craft beer.
I think craft beer was just too easy to replicate in a very meaningless way.
Yeah.
So, as far as like a restaurant, for instance, you had to have an original idea and the food had to be good.
Sure.
With craft beer, there was a lot of breweries that were opening with unoriginal ideas, unoriginal beer, and not very good beer. And you could taste it, but it was like, if there was enough capital behind it, they'd last for a couple years.
Sure, because it was craft beer, and that was enough to get people in the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got the quality guys who did their thing for 5, 10, 15 years, and then the big companies came a-knocking. Some of these guys, all due respect, they sold out.
Bent the knee.
I don't mean sell out in like a, fuck you, you're a sellout kind of way. I mean in the literal sense of like, they cut a check.
Yeah.
And,
literally.
And you fucking ate and you sold out.
Yeah.
So, and some of them, that shit came back to bite them.
Yeah.
Selling out like that. So, as a whole, the industry has been suffering.
Yeah.
So, at first it was like the bigger ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw it with Cigar City. Before Cigar City, even, you saw it with Funky Buddha.
Yeah.
Funky Buddha, I think, was one of the first to crumble to the big wigs in InBev, I believe. And it's been kind of a domino effect since then for a lot of, especially Florida breweries.
Yeah. Well, and then once the bubble burst, the big like InBev and all these like big conglomerates, when they went out and like spent millions of dollars buying up all these breweries. And they're like, oh, now we want all of these guys under one umbrella, and we're going to own all this shit. If you didn't know that, if you went to like Goose or Ballast Point,
sure,
and you didn't know, and then the beer starts to maybe suffer a little bit, or maybe it becomes a little more proliferated, and then out of nowhere they close because their parent company is like, oh, what's happening down there? Oh, just cut that whole wing off. We don't need that. Just get rid of that. Like they're looking at their portfolio and they're going like, Goose, what is that? Get that. What are we doing?
You suddenly become expendable.
Right. But the people who are loyal to these breweries didn't know that,
sure.
and they come back in and they're getting slapped in the face like, oh no, my favorite brewery is closing because big conglomerates don't give a fuck and capitalism, the rest.
Yeah.
So, not to say that that's what's happening here.
Sure. Yeah. We don't know much behind the scenes, but it's very clear they were forced to do this. They didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
And, even looking at the comments on their posts announcing this, were like, oh, that really sucks. Like, Wynwood won't be the same. And a lot of people that are like, riding for Jay Wakefield that are clearly either locals or made it a stop whenever they're in Miami. So... I mean, I can't help but wonder, like, specifically with this situation, what Wynwood is going to look like in the future.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they're kind of pushing everyone out right now.
Yeah.
And are looking for a rebuild. Because, I mean, not that long ago, Wynwood was cheap. It was a arts district because they were trying to make it better. They were trying to bring up the neighborhood because it was looked at as like kind of a dangerous area, a place where you don't want to be at nighttime. And that evolved over time. I mean, thanks somewhat to the art scene and craft breweries and things like that kind of put a nice polish on the neighborhood. But without that, is it just going to become condos? Like,
well, I mean,
art galleries? Like, what are we doing?
That's kind of what's happening out here in Orlando.
Sure.
You're seeing that. You're seeing breweries close. You're seeing places downtown close. You're seeing them. You're seeing, under the guise of creating a more family-friendly, safer environment, they're lining their pockets. They're building condos.
Yeah.
They're pushing businesses out.
It's a lot of outsiders coming in.
Yeah.
Real estate outsiders especially.
And people who just want to build.
Yeah.
But they don't want to grow the community itself.
No.
What are you doing?
Trying to walk so
Just do it. Why
don't
couldn't
you go
go
that
this
way?
I didn't want to be in the shot.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, now you're in the audio, so now you can be in the shot because.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, you're seeing you're seeing this happen right now, and like Orlando is a smaller example.
Yeah.
Miami's obviously, but it's I don't know, man. It doesn't bode well for any kind of community building, any kind of culture for these cities.
Yeah.
And it's really just, again, it's just sad. It's just you're it's like what is Toy Story when Andy is switching all of his stuff over to Buzz Lightyear stuff, and it's just like, strange things are happening to me, and you're just looking around like, the fuck is going on? Where are all the places that I used to go?
I don't want to play with you anymore. Yeah. I will say, as I hinted at in the intro, there is a silver lining to this because apparently Jay Wakefield's going to continue brewing.
Yeah.
So you will still be able to find their beer. They said they're going to do pop-ups and stuff and like guest taps and whatever.
Yeah.
To just stay afloat until they can find a new brick and mortar. So they do plan on relocating. They're not closed. Just their current location is closed.
Yeah.
So that sounds promising. Hopefully they can get back on their feet because, I mean, even in Orlando you can find Jay Wakefield. So I would hate to see another Wynwood brewery go down for the count for good.
I think as far as the breweries are concerned, we're going to see a lot of downsizing.
Yeah.
A lot of people going, because there's places that are closing, and there's talented brewers at those places who are going to land on their feet somewhere, or
Sure.
maybe they downsize, maybe they find like a smaller market, smaller business, way less rent to pay,
Sure, yeah,
way
yeah.
less overhead, and they can do what they're passionate about, and people will follow those things.
Yeah.
And keep those businesses afloat. But maybe we kind of have to look around and go like, all right, it's very clearly unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what can we do to keep moving forward?
Well, I think, and obviously, take it for what you will. I'm only a patron at these places, but
And don't you forget it.
I know my place.
You're not in the industry, guys.
I know.
I'm in the industry. That's what they say. We're in the industry. We're better than you.
I
'cause
enjoy-
we're in the industry.
I enjoy being served by the industry. But I think there is something there for a concept that is more back to what craft breweries were when we started getting into them, which was mostly 90% brewery, 10% bar.
Yeah.
You go in there, there's like chips,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can get like beef jerky maybe.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's just their beer, and that's it.
Yeah.
And the
It's-
rest of it is just the operation to get the beer out and get it out to the masses because that's the most cost-effective thing to do.
Yeah.
So I do think there is a future if there is that kind of downsizing for these places that aren't sustaining themselves as a full-on brewery with a full bar and all these accoutrements that you don't need to be a working craft brewery.
Yeah.
So I think there is an answer out there. I think inevitably they will find a way because people still like beer and it'll work out. It'll work out at some point.
Yeah. There just needs to be a refocusing of the lens.
Yeah.
And we need to come back and go, I'm like, okay.
Downsize.
This is what we need to be doing. This is what we should have been doing the whole time.
Right.
And we're back.
Which is exactly what Elon Musk was trying to do at Twitter.
Is that right?
According to him, yes. He was going in there to downsize, make it more reasonable, which, he did. He did
downsized. He definitely downsized.
For better or worse. And he's kind of had his way with the platform ever since.
He has had his way with it. We don't, outside of smug comments that we make about Elon and Twitter from time to time, we haven't really checked in here at the One Beer and Podcast with what's going on over there. We've kind of just let it be this thing. I am actually very surprised that it's even a still working website. I really thought that it was going to go the way of GameInformer and just be a landing page, and then it's just like a picture of Elon or like an AI render of Elon. He's like super shredded and crazy handsome.
Yeah.
And he's just like, welcome to X.com. I thought that for sure is what was going to be. And then you click it and it crashes immediately. But instead,
It makes you buy Dogecoin.
it's actually been afloat.
Yeah.
Barely, but it's been afloat. You can't say that it hasn't been an active website.
Yeah, it's still working. People are still on there.
Barely. I'll just, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, Twitter as a website is barely working. I know people, because they go on it so frequently, that they probably might not talk about this or even care about some of this stuff, but I'm just telling you that, like, the way that it works is almost unusable. The stuff that you see on there, the For You page is literal dog shit.
Yeah.
The usability of the website is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
It crashes all the time.
This is speaking from a broke boy non-checkmark Twitter users.
Yes.
So
yes.
keep that in mind.
Right. If you're like one of us and not getting the benefits of being an Elon fanboy, or even just experimenting with paying for the blue check, that I know some people are like, let's see what it does, and then they get lambasted by people who are like, blue check. If you're just a normie on the website, to me, it's almost unusable, and I'm really not trying, because I'm on it every day, so I'm not sitting here acting like, I'm not using the website or I'm like, I want to use the website. I want to, it's still a thing that is part of my rotation of social media.
Yeah.
So I want it to work, but usually it doesn't. There are frequently times where tweets don't send. There are frequently times I get kicked. Like I said, it crashes all the time. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
So just throw that out there.
Yeah. Comments that are probable spam are just people.
They're just people
that don't have check marks.
Just people.
Yeah.
He makes changes behind the scenes all the time that are just don't make any sense.
It's rumored that he wants to now get rid of being able to see likes.
Yeah. He wants it to be like this minimal, post thing where there is no, you'd have to click into the tweet to see any kind of engagement. You'd have to basically investigate to check on the engagement. And the only reason that he's doing that is because he gets his feelings hurt because he gets ratioed all the time.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't want people to judge. I mean, that was how a lot of times he talks about Twitter like it's the public square.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, that's how they frame it.
Yeah, that's the metaphor that he uses all the time.
Yeah.
So in that metaphor, the idea of here is a
Unless
public
you call
square,
someone cisgender.
right? That gets limited visibility every
Yeah.
time. It's been
Yeah.
proven every single time. He has that marked as a slur.
So
He doesn't
silly.
have the N-word marked as a slur.
No.
He
As
doesn't.
proven by Andrew Tate.
Yeah, but he does have cis marked as a slur. So that's, take that information as you will. So in the metaphor of the public square, the way that we would judge, the way that you would initially look at something, right, before you even looked at the essence of someone's argument, was this person said something, and then another person responded, and then they ratioed them, right? Mm-hmm. And this was a common practice.
Yeah.
This happened all the time.
Right.
And even before you even digested the argument, you went, oh, this person might have said something silly or wrong,
Yeah.
and this person might have said something right or at least just funny.
Right.
That's how the public square works. In real life, if two people were debating in the middle of some cobblestone square,
That's what I'm picturing.
me too, right? Yeah. And it's just a bunch of peasants who are like, I've got a bit for this.
Yeah.
Oh, but I see something entertaining. And they're arguing back and forth. That's my vision
There's
of a
a
public
donkey.
square.
There's a lady that has one of those bonnets on.
Yeah, and a white
Yeah.
apron over
Yep.
her giant dress. Yeah, and she's got a bucket filled with God knows
Piss.
what.
Yeah.
She's got a bucket of piss.
It's her piss bucket. Toss it out.
Yeah. And there's some guy, he's got a rag that he's wiping his neck with, and shirt's open down to here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two
What's all this then?
two guys two snake oil salesmen trying to pitch you on these things. One guy says something clever.
Well, now I'm just thinking of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So one says something clever, the crowd cheers. One says something not so clever, the crowd jeers.
Mm-hmm.
And you pick the winner, right?
Yeah.
The way that he wants to structure this site is he gets embarrassed all the time. People make jokes at his expense all the time, and you can tell that he takes it super, super seriously.
Yeah.
He is so sensitive. He's like a child. He's like a 15-year-old. Oh man, I could never. You know what?
He seems very sensitive. Not knowing the man personally, he seems very sensitive.
I'm not. If we keep going down this road, it's just going to be like an Elon attack. So let's talk about the essence of why we're even talking about Twitter in the first place.
So,
sorry, I'm going on my piss bucket.
that's okay. Fill it up, baby. Linda Yaccarino, or Linda Ya X on X, came out with a video that's been. What was it? What happened? What happened? I missed it.
When you burped, she made a face, and then I tried to back you up by burping,
Oh no!
and it was just.
I appreciate it. Linda Yaccarino came out with this video. Who she works for X, clearly.
She's the CEO.
The CEO of X.
She is the figurehead.
Yes. The
'Cause
masthead.
it's de facto Elon Musk.
It is Elon, yeah. When it comes down to it. But she came out with this video that essentially says there's this behind-the-scenes group of advertisers using her hands a lot. If you haven't seen it yourself,
So weird.
really weird. And I know it was just a joke, but people are saying it looked like AI, and it's like, yeah, there's something
Something not right.
Yeah,
About
yeah.
how she was doing the video.
yeah, strange.
It's like someone was off camera going we need more hand movement. People need to know that you're talking. They need to know that you care. So
Right.
you need to do. And a lot of this, she pointed at the camera, even in moments where it wasn't like a you. It was just she was just saying something and would just point at the camera.
Yeah.
It's very strange, very strange. But
But the meat of the message was that they are going to go after this group of behind-the-scenes advertisers who, or it may not even be advertisers, but the people who control advertising that have essentially boycotted Twitter, or X, I should say.
Yeah. They are under the assumption that there is a cabal
Yes.
of these companies that have gone to advertisers and said, like, we will no longer give you money if you advertise on X.
Right.
And so all of these advertisers have pulled out, not because of the hate speech,
Sure.
not because of the things that Elon himself says, not because of how broken the website is, not because Dawn doesn't want to advertise next to killriggers.69. No.
Yeah.
They're pulling out because they just don't like Elon. They don't like the First Amendment,
Yeah.
apparently. That's what this company is doing.
Yes. Yeah. So they claim to have evidence of this. They're saying that X is saying that they, the advertisers or this cabal are, keeping these messages from you. And they're not going to stand for it anymore.
Yeah.
And so if you're an advertiser who hasn't been able to advertise on X, sue them.
Yeah.
Sue them.
Sue him.
So that's where we are right now. And from what I've seen from Elon, he's double and tripling down on this messaging.
He said it's war.
He said it's war. Yeah, we tried to play nice. Now it's war.
I just want to remind people that, like, 5 months ago, he was at a conference and he was asked about advertisers, and he was like, oh, if you don't want to advertise on Twitter, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
To silence,
And
then he doubled down.
go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
And
So-
then people went,
Yeah. So that was his message to I just want to remind people that was his message to advertisers
Yep.
who decided on their own volition to no longer advertise on Twitter. That was his message. So now he's coming back, 6-7 months later,
I didn't mean literally.
except for it's war.
It's war now.
I can't believe you guys have done this to me. It's war.
How could you do this to me? Even though I'm calling for a civil war in the UK.
I'm
calling for a
begging
race
for it.
war.
But it's not me though.
No,
I-
couldn't be me.
Why are you guys mad at me? Yeah, so I would love. I am genuinely excited about this. I'm genuinely excited because I can't wait to see how this goes forward. I
Yeah.
mean, if they do have evidence, first of all, I'm failing to see. I'm looking at the comments and I'm looking at what legal experts are saying, and it's really funny to see like the Elon stands and his ilk,
Yeah.
the army of Elon fans, talking about RICO cases
Sure, yeah.
and saying like, they're just parroting what they've heard from someone else, and that's how this
From Elon, he said the same thing.
yeah, right. So that's how these things happen. You get one person that you're a fan of saying this thing, and then you just run with that information. Same thing that
gotta be
happened to
true.
that Italian boxer.
Yeah.
Three or four accounts on Twitter were like, kind of looks like a man, and that ballooned into what it became, and that's how the information superhighway works now. And it's
Or
the same thing.
they pick on one piece of information that may be true, like she wasn't allowed into a certain division or something.
That's the thing that they use to bolster their argument.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And they
So-
latch onto it and
And then they go
misconstrue
on
it.
thread after thread after thread saying the same thing over and over and over again. And I've seen this thing happen now where people will retweet themselves and say like, this is what I was saying in this other thread. And it's like, you're not that important, buddy.
Yeah, don't.
I don't know why you think you quoting yourself
God.
is a viable argument. Like, hey, listen, man, just retype it because no one is going to look at you retweeting yourself
Talking about yourself.
and being like, this is what I said somewhere else. Like, buddy, get over yourself.
Seriously. God.
So I am genuinely interested to see legally how this shakes out because from my own limited purview of these things, I fail to see how advertisers of their own volition pulling out from a dying cesspool could be sued On what grounds and what damages?
I don't know. The problem that X seems to have is that it supposedly was a group that came together to conspire against advertising on X.
But even if that's true, how is that against the law?
I don't know.
If you're a company and you said, don't advertise on X, and then Disney was like, okay, what law did they break?
Was that Mickey saying that?
Okay. Woo-hoo. Ho, ho. What law did they break? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I don't know.
It's not they when you advertise on these websites, unless you sign a contract, and if there was contracts broken, then sure that you have cause, you have grounds,
legal
for
recourse.
But if it's just that Disney stopped posting on Twitter because, let's say, even in the darkest way that this could be formulated, so what I've seen is some people saying that this shadow company blackmailed these organizations. But again, if it's billion-dollar organizations, I mean, unless you're saying that the government, the American government,
came in and said, don't advertise on X.
Short of that, who is more powerful than Dawn or Disney or Google that could come in and say, we have enough capital that if you don't stop advertising on Twitter because we have this war going on with Elon, that we will destroy your company? Sure, I just don't see that being the case. What I see happening is all of these people pulled out. I could see the anti-defamation thing, or rather not. He wants to go after the Anti-Defamation League because they were like, there's hate speech on Twitter and he's not doing anything about it. And he's like, this is the town square and free speech and First Amendment, blah, blah, blah.
Actually,
blah.
we are trying very hard. It's just the bots.
It's just really hard. The bots. And then more bots have it's only just been more bots. So, trying to keep up with everything. I mean, he posts a mile a minute. I don't know how he gets anything done. I believe the stories that people say, like he sleeps at SpaceX and just rolls out of bed and just starts telling people what to do, like with his phone in his hand, just constantly tweeting. It's like it really is like when Trump was president and he would post on Twitter and then he'd say like, from now on, this is how things are going to go. And you're like, is that a law or did he just tweet something? And then
just what you want?
And then the news and the government would be in disarray for like 48 hours because everyone would be like, it's not a law. He just said it. And then he'd come back and be like, no, it is a law.
It's a law.
It's a law.
It's very real.
I thought it would be a good idea and it is. And then a general would have to come back and try to like sell it to people. Like, well, the reason that he said that is because of this. And then he'd come back and be like, no, I said it because I don't like gays. That's why I said it. It was insane.
What a time.
Dude, I don't miss it at all. It was so scary to live in a time where the president would just wake up at 3 a.m. and just tweet something. And then it became legislature. It was so fucking crazy. And this is what's happening at Twitter on obviously a smaller scale, where Elon just wakes up and he just is like, I think likes shouldn't be visible anymore. And then you're
I
like,
hate my daughter.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm genuinely interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they seem pretty serious about it. So I don't know. Let's pull on that thread a little bit.
I mean, when he bought the website, his whole thing was, I'm going to make it profitable, right? In the beginning, Elon was already saying crazy stuff.
He didn't actually want it though.
No, he didn't. He yeah. We if you don't know that saga, man, it was only a couple years ago. But with the way that information just gets disseminated and then it disappears and then it's unarchived because these websites die and then you can't go back. That's also, by the way, to go back to that part of the conversation we were having, that's also another problem with something like GameInformer dying and then not being able to ever look back on that stuff. Yeah. People can just make up history as we go along. And that's what's crazy. That's what's so scary about information that just gets put on websites and there's no written word, there's no print to it.
That's why the Internet Archive is actually really important.
Yeah. Because it's scary to think that somebody like Trump, I mean, I don't mean to keep singling out Donald Trump, but, you know, fuck Donald Trump. So it's not like but he is a person who straight up, I mean, no matter how you feel about him politically, even if you're a fan, when he'll say things that are verifiably
Wrong.
untrue.
Yeah.
You can post a video right after he says something, and it's like, no, dude, you did say it. Because here's the video of you saying it like 6 months ago.
He's the biggest hyperbolist
Yeah.
by saying
That's kind.
everything is the greatest or the worst, or there were a million deaths.
Right.
All these things that can be proven to not be true.
Well, and not only the fact that he does, exaggerate, but there are things where he just says things that, like, he'll say a thing and then later on say, like, I never said that. And he won't qualify it by saying I didn't say it like that.
Yeah.
He will say straight up, I didn't say that.
I don't remember saying
I never
that.
said it. Never said it.
Never said that.
And then you have video evidence.
Yeah.
Now imagine if every 6 months, imagine if the news cycle was like the settings on an iPhone, and it was like after a year these
It's
tweets
gone.
get deleted.
Yeah.
We would just not
I
have
guess
that
he never
information.
said it, guys.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's it, because he could just be like, I didn't say it.
Must just
and
be
it
a
would
liberal lie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's so fucked up about this stuff, man. It's
Yeah.
like it's only been a couple of years, and people have lost sight of even just the simple fact that Elon Musk didn't even want to buy it. He was forced into buying Twitter.
Well, Trump didn't want to be president, really.
Right. And he was forced into it, and now he has to keep playing this game.
Look at where we are today.
Got to keep playing.
Yeah.
We all got to keep playing the game, man.
That's all we
You
are.
can't unplug
players
from the
in this
Matrix.
game.
That's right. That's right. And the game don't stop, baby. The game is the game. That's on the wire.
The game is the game.
Game is the game.
That's better than it is what it is.
The game is the game.
The game
is
is the
better than
game,
it is
yeah.
what it is. Also, it is what it is very, I think, pessimistic and maybe even nihilistic. The game is acceptance. That's like saying, like,
Yeah.
that's like it. Yo,
We have to play.
yeah, the game is the game. You gonna play or you not gonna play? That's
Right.
on you. But the game is the game.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's like, man, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's defeating.
Defeating.
Almost. Yeah, defeatist.
Defeatist.
Yes.
Defeatist. The fetus.
The fetus. Norman Reedus and the fetus.
Norman Reedus and the fetus.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about X anymore.
Yeah, me neither. Me
Okay,
neither. We're just
good.
gonna finish this podcast and then scroll on X for a
Yeah.
little while.
Yes.
Yeah. I try to not, but Instagram is kind of losing my interest. And I find myself on TikTok a lot, but I find myself in these corners where, like, Moschino Dorito dominates, and it's just this conversation about, like, white liberals, and I'm just like,
There's
I'm
no escape.
exhausted by all of this
There's
stuff.
no escape.
I know that I'm creating my own algorithms.
Yeah. But the algorithm in itself is designed to feed off of the most negative things.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not all your fault.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Game's the game.
The game is the game. Let's talk about some positive stuff. Some real
Okay.
positive stuff.
Okay.
Because it's now time for the cheers of the week. So, Obi, what you cheers into, my friend?
Speaking of the game is the game.
The game is the game.
I finished Yakuza 0. What a game. Cheers. Yakuza 0 was my first Yakuza game. I had been playing it for the last 5 years. It's one of those games that I had, like, popped into. Excuse me.
Sorry, I apologize.
It's one of those, as I was saying, it's one of those games that I had popped into every once in a while, but never really, like, stuck to. And for people that aren't in the know, the Yakuza games, it's a long-running franchise at this point. Action games set in Japan, and they are now transitioned into action RPGs with Like a Dragon, which was the original name of Yakuza in Japan.
We had a whole bit about it, like 5 or 6 episodes
We
ago.
sure did. We sure did. But Yakuza 0 is a prequel game to the first game in the series. So I looked up online. I'm like, where should I start with this series? Because it's like, I know I like the mechanics of the game and the story's cool. And so a lot of people were saying with 0 because then you have, like, the background story of these characters before the main event storyline happens.
Which is odd. Usually you don't start with a prequel.
And some people said that. Some people were like, no, play it like in chronological order when they came out.
Yeah.
Fortunately, 1 and 2 have been remastered into the Zero engine, which is a newer game. So I was like, I don't know what to play, but I'll go ahead with the prequel first because I don't feel like playing like 5 games before I can get to Zero, right?
Yeah.
So I played Zero. Incredible game. One of those you can get lost in. I mean,
Why did it take you so long?
because, like I was saying, it was always a game that was there that I never committed to. I would play like half an hour at a time and then be like, all right, I'm going to jump over to something bigger and something newer. But I'd always come back to it. So I knew I wanted to continue. And I have all the games. Like, I own them. It's just I haven't gotten to them yet. So it's like, no, I'm going to make this my committed game.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's so cool. It's a period piece set in the 80s in Tokyo and a couple other places too. But a lot of fun. So deep. There's so much to do. I think that's another reason why I didn't get through it super quick.
Yeah.
Was because I just got overwhelmed and I was like, where do I even begin?
I get that.
And because there are so many mechanics to the game, I didn't really know what I was doing, like how to upgrade my character correctly and all that stuff that you got to worry about to actually enjoy the game. But, then I realized the side stuff is side stuff. Like, if I come across something that looks interesting, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm going to mainline. I'm going to take it off of hard because I have nothing to prove to anybody. I'm going to put it on medium.
I don't even know who you are anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's
What are you talking about?
New Leaf. But putting it on medium honestly changed the game for me, and made it so much more fun. And
Sometimes
so much more,
the game ain't the game.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta adjust the game to medium. And anyway, all that to say, fantastic game. Go ahead and play it. Go back. It's worth your time if you're an action game fan. And I'm now on to the first original Yakuza game with the remaster. And it's a lot of fun and apparently shorter than Zero, which I'm happy about. So about half the time will be taken.
Well, that makes sense. It's just a remaster of an old PlayStation game anyway, so.
Yeah. So highly recommend it. Super fun. Very brutal. Good time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You. My cheers of the week is in the same vein. It's a cheers to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but also, we've been nostalgic on this episode this week, and
yeah.
my cheers originally was borrowing games from your friends.
Oh.
Adam let me borrow Rebirth.
And many more.
I was just about to say I have like half his collection at my house right
Still
now.
have Assassin's Creed.
I have, dude. Don't bring up. That should be the least of your worries.
I know.
I have so many. I'm like, I didn't buy any of these games. I got a lot of games to catch up on. Cyberpunk, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I have Disco Elysium. I have Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry. Yeah.
So yeah, I have quite a few of your games.
Quite a few.
But I'm
and Final
focusing.
Fantasy 16 too.
Oh yeah, I do have that too. Yeah, I do have that. I'm focusing on Rebirth right now.
Okay.
Then I'll go backwards with all the games that I just named.
Sure, yeah.
And then finally, at one point in my life, I will get back to Rise of the Ronin.
Rise.
Probably by the time that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is out, and then I
perfect, yeah.
won't be seeing it ever again.
Yeah.
But Rebirth has been really fun.
What a soundtrack.
Yeah, so
Oh
far
my
it's just
God.
been just this beautiful orchestral just crashes and waves of music just flowing in and out. It's beautiful. And I've only played a couple of hours of it so far, but I mean I'm seeing all of the like marked improvements from remake to Rebirth. So the game so far has been spectacular. But the idea that, I just miss is blockbusters, borrowing games, going over to your friend's crib, couch co-op. It's just it's an entire part of the of gaming culture that is effectively dead.
Oh yeah, no, it's certainly dead. Especially with Redbox going away now.
Yeah, it's just
gone.
it's done.
Over.
So and like yeah, renting games has been dead for a long time, but with the way that the industry is pushing people to download games, you see a lot of download the Supreme Edition and it gives you all these skins for free, and the game's like double the price for all this cosmetic shit.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day when you pre-ordered a game and you got like the Supreme Edition or whatever, you would get like a steel case.
Or even the Day 1 edition used to be something.
Day 1 edition was a thing.
Yeah.
You'd get the steel case, you'd get like a replica from the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get like a keychain, you get a
map.
t-shirt, you would get all kinds of shit for spending double the amount of what the game would cost, right?
Yeah, that's what I did for Halo 3. I got the Steel Book edition.
Uh-huh.
It came with a art book inside the Steel Book, I think, and like a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Well, even just more recently, your Baldur's Gate finally came in,
Yeah.
and all of the stuff that came with that.
Oh my god, so cool.
So that is a lost and pretty much dead art
Yeah.
of getting physical media, and not just getting the physical media for yourself, but getting it for your broke friends,
course.
and everybody sharing that experience of, oh shit, I just let one of my homegirls borrow Red Dead Redemption. She had never played it. And if I had downloaded the fucking,
Couldn't do it.
And
Hence why I told you
and-
to buy a PS5
and I listened,
with the drive, and therefore we can
here
now
we-
share games.
and here we are.
Yeah.
So I just love that, and that's just
We live in a
again,
community, folks.
You want to be in a community.
You do.
Wanna,
You get one, I get the other. and We'll trade. We'll trade after. Yeah.
that's how things used to be, man. That's how
It's
they
a
used to be.
classic cousin situation.
Yep.
Your cousin gets a game, you get the other one. I mean, it happened. The earliest I can remember it happening in my family was my cousin and my family got N64s for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think we got Mario 64, and I think he got, I forget what the launch one was. I don't know, but I think he got, I want to say like GoldenEye or something.
Did GoldenEye launch?
Maybe not.
Was it that something dark?
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark? Was that?
I think GoldenEye came before Perfect Dark. Either way, point being made is he got one, we got the other, and that night we came together as a unit to play each other's games.
Right.
And it was beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
It's perfect.
I never owned any Nintendo past the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Right? Until I started buying the Wiis for myself. But when I was a kid, it was Sega, PlayStation.
You were a Sega kid.
I was a Sega kid.
Yuck.
Yep. Sega, baby.
Sega.
Genesis, Saturn.
Wow, you had a
Dreamcast.
Saturn?
We had a Sega Saturn.
Oof.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you don't understand.
Oh no! I mean, it was great for the time, but between the Saturn and a PS1,
Yeah.
like, come on, man.
Well, we got the PS1 pretty shortly after that, but the PS1 was like the family console.
I see.
The PS2
Because
was
it was a
mine.
CD player.
Yeah. But the PS2 was mine.
Yeah.
My dad bought it for me for my birthday. So
That was me because I'm a little bit older than you. That was the PS1 for me. Yeah, but it was late. It was late in the game. No pun intended.
yeah.
The
game is the game.
I remember it came in like a combo pack. It was when the DualShocks were already out.
Yeah.
So it came with two
Oh,
DualShocks, I think a memory card, and like a game and a demo disc.
Oh, that's super late in the game.
Yeah, it was awesome though.
Yeah.
Because like, again, I should say, I feel like there is something to getting your console late because you have so much to like get back on into.
True.
That's how I found out about Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
You know, like it was on the demo disc. I'm like, I don't know how to play this.
Yeah.
I'm a baby. You know, like this makes
yeah.
no sense to me.
Yeah.
But I can tell it's cool. So
Dude,
yeah.
playing Metal Gear Solid, again, going back to physical copies of stuff, they had the codec code on the box.
Yeah.
You don't get shit like that no more.
No.
It's just not that cool no more.
Yeah.
They don't like, and this isn't the devs' faults, but it's like they're not focusing on cool shit like that because they know kids aren't gonna do shit like that. You know?
Yeah.
They'd rather watch the fucking Weekend in a virtual concert while they wear like duck suits and shit. I fucking hate this.
Well, they floss.
Well, they floss to Dawn FM. So anyway, I'm just really nostalgic for that time, and this whole episode has bummed me out.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's been one of those weeks.
It has been one
What
of
do you
those
want?
weeks. And here's the thing. We want to leave you guys on an upswing, so the cheers, just think about how lovely that used to be, and maybe think about your neighbor next time. If they want like a game that you have, think about letting them borrow it.
I will say there's nothing like enjoying something and sharing it with a friend. Mm-hmm. And hoping that they enjoy it as much as you do.
Hey, shut up.
Oh. All right.
And in that same vein, we shared these beers today, and now we are sharing our score with you, the people. So, Obi, what did you think of the Bowgens / Tori Atsumeru?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty easy drinker, a little hoppy. Tastes a little like a rice lager to me.
Yeah.
I think because of its lower ABV. I will say, I gotta say, didn't get the green peppercorn.
Didn't get it.
Which I'm
Wasn't good.
I'm not 100% mad at because I tend not to like spice in my drinks.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a spicy Bloody Mary
Not a spice lord.
type guy.
Do you like Bloody Marys in general, though?
I'll take one, but it's not like I don't go out of my way for one.
Yeah.
You know?
I hate savory drinks.
Yeah, and like I like it when they have like the bacon and like kind of some of that like it's almost more like a soup,
Yeah.
like a cold soup.
Yeah.
And
Vodka.
Yeah, with vodka. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of a Bloody Mary. Got to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll have it, but it does kind of make me go.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I wasn't so upset there wasn't much spice in it. But if you're saying it, you got to deliver it. You know. That being said, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I think it's good. I think I would reach for this one again. It's light. I think this would be perfect for having small bites at Tori. And yeah, I think it's a pretty well crafted brewski overall.
I'm going to give it a 5. But I'm going to agree with you that the green peppercorn does not really come through. The thing is, I'm happy that it doesn't. But I was interested to see how it was incorporated.
Me too.
And so the fact that it just really kind of has a rice lagery feel to it
Yeah.
was good. I mean, I liked it, so I gave it a 5. But I do think that it could have gotten could have gotten a perfect score had this stuff, these notes, been well incorporated to the point that I was, happy about getting these notes. The fact that I don't get them and it's just like this nice light IPA, that's good. I'm giving it a 5.
Sure, yeah.
But to give it a perfect score, all of that stuff would have to come through and be well balanced
And
in
work.
a way that so.
Find a way to make it work. That's what I was curious about when I got this beer. Is like, how are they going to make that work? And for me, they didn't. They just said, let's make a rice lager-esque IPA.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right. You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupo, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you.